Hey everybody, welcome back to Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I'm your host Caleb.
Hi, I'm Seth. I talk Star Wars with this man.
Oh, I timed that wrong, huh?
Oh,
Uh, I hit your yawn. I timed it
oh
wrong.
well, damn.
But before we actually don't have news this week. So we normally like to start the show by talking about our week, so far and stuff outside of Star Wars that we've been up to. So I'll let you start, and then and then I'll talk about my week.
So, I've been playing through Bloodborne again.
Yep, I think we talked about this last week that you started up Bloodborne again.
Yeah. And I forgot that there's basically it's an optional area. You don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Castle Canehurst, which is straight up like a fucking Dracula castle.
Oh, okay. Like Castlevania type of Dracula, or more.
More, this place is fucking haunted and clearly evil.
More Stradvon like
More,
style.
there are headless ghosts in the hallways screaming at you.
Okay, so it's even more grimdark.
Yeah. Uh, I am currently at the real boss of the area, Martyr Ligarius, and he is kicking my ass.
Oh, okay.
But I did learn something. So he has a move, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he just slams the sword he has into the ground, and initially you're like, oh, what does that do? That didn't seems like an odd choice. Because I didn't realize that, oh, if you look up, there is now a swarm of other swords above you. And what that does is, while you're fighting him, occasionally it'll just flick one out at you
Oh,
in the middle of the fight.
oh boy.
The good news is, first time I figured this out, by the way, you can just either smash the sword or shoot it so they'll stop doing that. This hasn't helped me as much as I thought it would. It's still not working well.
Oh, okay. So it's still not quite the strategy
Yeah.
you need.
Like, I almost had him one time and then he threw me off the roof.
As far as me, I've been doing a few things. Those of y'all who follow the channel may have noticed that I haven't been streaming Baldur's Gate 3 lately, even though I promised to kind of go back to schedule. I'm still adjusting to my situation of things that we talked about last week, and just kind of
Yeah.
getting used to my new style of life and having doctor's appointments now and then. So that's kind of taken a toll on my willingness to want to stream. Like, I want to play Baldur's Gate 3. It's not a I'm burnt out on Baldur's Gate 3. It's a I just don't feel like streaming for 4 hours thing. Um, or more, because I've done longer streams. Like, sometimes I'll do 8-hour streams.
Yeah.
But like, I just haven't been in the mood for that at the moment, and so I've been instead playing Disney Speedstorm, which went free to play this week, and I've been enjoying that because it's more of a quick burst sort of game. It's very much I mean, I brought my
Yeah.
PlayStation Tuesday to hang out when we hung out, and we played a couple rounds together, because you can do like private matches and you can do couch co-op, which is nice. That's actually nice that they offer couch co-op.
Yes.
More games
Should.
more games should keep couch co-op as a
Yeah.
thing. And so we played a couple rounds. Tori played around. Tori downloaded the game on her PC afterwards because of
Yeah.
that. Because she was like, "Oh, I want to play more of that," because she saw me playing as the princesses, and she's like, "Oh yeah, the best princesses. You've got them unlocked already." Because I had Mulan, Meg, and my other main, Jasmine, at the moment. Although I just unlocked Genie today because I got the Golden Pass, which is the game's version of a Battle Pass.
Yeah.
Because while free to play, they do operate on a Battle Pass system, seasonal stuff, and the current season is Aladdin based. So Jasmine is the free character that you can unlock through the Battle Pass by leveling up, and then Genie's the one that you can pay for. But I've learned that as long as you do the ranked online matches, which the way ranked works is each of your drivers that you've unlocked have separate ranks. So each driver individually is ranked.
Yeah.
So like currently Mickey for me is 16. He's in the platinum ranking right now, and he can still go higher. I think the next one, I forget the name of it, but it can go higher than platinum. And so he's at 16. I just got Jasmine to 16, and then everybody else but Genie is at 11, which puts them in the gold rank.
Okay.
And so Genie is almost, I think he's in bronze right now because I did a few matches with him after I unlocked him. But basically, each time you level up, they give you free coins for that. So as long as you keep switching drivers and you keep ranking up, then you're good. And you don't even have to win to rank up. Like, you still get points just for driving. So as long as you do a race and you complete the race, you get points to rank up. Now, you'll get less points depending on where you place. But I'd say most of the time I'm hitting within the top 5 out of 8. And I've even managed to get first place in a few matches, enough that I got a trophy for it on PlayStation. So, and of course, the other great thing is that it's cross-platform. So, because it's a racing game, there's not unlike say a first-person shooter where there's the advantage of mouse and keyboard versus a controller. There really is no advantage in a racing game, and most people that are playing a racing game are using a controller no matter what platform they're on, except for unfortunately Tori with her PC because she has no controller to connect to it.
Yeah.
I thought she has an Xbox controller though, so
She does. Just the Xbox doesn't work, so I'm not sure how she wants to go about.
I would think okay, because I would think she could probably connect her controller because she has one of the more recent control.
Should work.
Yeah.
In theory.
So I would suggest that to her. I'll probably talk to her about that Tuesday, and so like racing games are one of those where there isn't a real like that type of situation. And then what else? But yeah, so I unlocked Genie because of that. I got enough points to unlock him, and so he's already like 2 stars, which is like how you decide how many levels you can increase them, which increases their power-ups in races. But yeah, so that's one of the things I've been doing, and then I was telling you off stream about this as well. I've been reading Crimson Climb, which is an upcoming Star Wars book, and I'm almost done with it. I've been enjoying most of it. My non-spoiler review will be on the day it comes out, so in 3 days because it comes out on the 10th. So I haven't read any today, but I've been doing like you, except I do page count. So you do page count too, but I do like I end at a chapter.
When it comes to me, and like we've gone over this before, but you may have forgotten, I will look at the total page count
and then
divide by how many days I have.
And that's what I did, except I'll change how many pages I'm reading. If I'm like in the middle of a chapter, I'm like, okay, I gotta finish the chapter, because like you don't want to be in the middle of a chapter, stop reading, and then come back the next day and be like, what's going on? Whereas like ending at a chapter, it tends to stick to your memory better of like what you just read, even if it's like a day or 2 ago.
Yeah.
Because if you end at the end of a chapter, I've noticed that the brain kind of just is like, oh, that's the end of that story. Here's the long-term memory, so that way you don't forget it. And so yeah, really that's been most of my. I mean, that's been most of what I've been up to. I recently gave somebody Baldur's Gate 1 for free out of my friends, because she's really been enjoying Baldur's Gate 3. She's one of my players for the Acquisitions Incorporated game, which we're actually going to be doing a game tomorrow. So if you're in the Discord and you want to listen to that, we got a new player, Karina. She's a little bit of a D&D veteran like us, so she has a little. In fact, she runs a game herself. She's a DM, and so
that's always interesting.
So it's been
sometimes DMs don't always get the chance to sit down and play,
and that's the case for her. Like, because we were talking about her character, and she was like, she's really excited because she doesn't get to play often. So, and then on top of that, like Matt, the one who kind of invited her, because so he informed her what's going on, and so everybody seems invested in what's going on in the game. So yeah, so one of my players, Britt, she's the one I've talked about where she's really excited about everything involving D&D. She's the one that got the dice, ordered the books physically. Like we've talked about this where she's all in, and then of course she played Baldur's Gate 3. She's loved it, and I don't know if she's finished, but I was like, we talked about it before where it was like, oh, she'd be interested in checking out Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, because I was like, not everybody wants to go back to it, because I've talked to some people who the big issue is how it looks. Even with the enhanced edition, it's
the isometric, and
it's
also like sometimes it's just fucking hard to see where people are.
It's an older game.
Yeah.
Even with the enhanced edition, it's graphically it's different.
Yeah. It's definitely a game that was made before 2008.
Yeah, because the first game came out in 98, 97, 98, because the second one came out in 2000. Yep. So the age shows even with the enhanced edition, which fixes and polishes a lot of things, including the coffee bean roads that I've told you about for the original, for the walk, for the actual like path. I'm explaining for the audience because I've told you the story, but for the cobblestone pathways, BioWare, who made the game, because it was in such a time when you could get away with it, they used a picture of coffee beans as the insert for like the cobblestone pathways, because it created that like brown cobblestone that you like in a city. And then when Beamdog, the ones who did the enhanced editions, took over the project, they were given like all the files, of course, because they basically took the game and they were going to build it from scratch with a new version of the Infinity Engine.
Like, who sent us this fucking picture?
And so
of coffee beans?
like they looked at the game and were like, oh, like you put it in HD, because originally they were just like, oh, we can just puff it to HD, which is what a lot of those type of projects do when they do enhanced editions or remaster, right? They just kind of do a little bit of like cleaning it up to where it looks HD. They couldn't do that with Baldur's Gate because they were like, oh, that's a picture of coffee beans. Once you fix it in HD, you see what it is.
Yeah.
And so they were like, well, it's a good thing we were doing this from scratch anyways. So, because they basically rebuilt the engine. The Infinity Engine 2.0 is what they called it. And so the only game that was Infinity Engine based that they have not been able to recreate is Icewind Dale 2. And that's because of the infamous trouble of a lot of old video games of the lost original files.
Oh no. They're somewhere. No idea where they are.
It's why we didn't get a Final Fantasy VIII remaster for a long time, because Final Fantasy VIII was in that similar situation of, we don't have the original files.
Whoops.
Because
we lost them. Because,
like, back in the day, video game companies would make their games, they'd have the original files to make the games and make the prints, and then
then it was done.
And there wasn't really, even today, there's not a lot of game preservation. And so back then, even less so. It's why, a study came out talking about how there's, like, 80% of, like, old games are missing because, like, have basically disappeared because...
just don't have the files.
Yeah, we don't have the files, and nobody's preserved them because a lot of those games aren't like the Marios. Yeah. They're the smaller projects that Nintendo or whoever made.
So it's like, well, we keep them around.
Yeah, and even emulator groups that try to preserve game, because emulation is a type of preservation. While it can be viewed as illegal, I think it's a key part of preservation in a world where we don't preserve those games, especially when Nintendo and other companies like it don't care to preserve those games. It's like, well, other people care. And even then, you're still not preserving it in its original state because you're not able to play, like, we even have lost, like, physical copies of those games, so you still can't play it in the original state that it was meant to be played in. and that goes in that increases that number to where we get 80%, because it's just like even if we're counting emulation, that's still not true preservation. That's a type of preservation, but it's not truly preserving it.
Yeah.
Which, it's funny, I was talking actually with Harith last night about film preservation on that same regard, and how there's certain projects regarding Star Wars, that groups that try to preserve the original A New Hope, and
Yeah.
so there's actually a group that recently got their hands on the original 35 millimeter and 70 millimeter footage. And so I was talking about how that's really impressive and really that's historically important, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people who like films would agree.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about the original, so not the special editions where George has made changes. We're talking the original release originals. So I think all that's important. Video game and movie preservation. It's any art preservation is important.
Man, this is tangentially related.
Yeah.
But not in regards to like the preservation. I really want the DLC for Elden Ring to come out. And I was sitting around thinking, like, which members of like the main like royal god family have I not killed yet?
It's funny you talk about that. I saw a video on TikTok joking about like how Elden Ring is not like this dark fantasy thing that a lot of people are. It's a dark comedy about like you going after this rich family and their dog and everything in between, and getting called a loser virgin who's gonna die a virgin.
Yeah.
It's really a comedy.
If you can look at it that way. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, all right, which members of the family have I not like gone and
Brutally
murdered?
Yeah. But yeah.
And I came to the conclusion there's only two. There is Mikola, who is basically cursed to always be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, well, I know where he is. He's in like a cocoon.
Yeah.
In like hell.
Oh, okay. So pretty locked up, although that's a pretty good premise for a DLC, is them getting out of, or either getting out or you having to go there.
Yeah. And the other one is Godwin, who is embedded in a tree and making skeletons and a bunch of other shit pop up.
Now, does that have to do with the big tree, or is that its own separate tree?
Yes and no.
Okay. I forget the name of the big tree.
The Erd tree.
The Erd tree, yeah.
So basically, he's in its roots.
Okay. So connected, but like barely.
Yeah.
Got it.
Because of there's a lot of in Elden Ring about burial rites and how certain groups used to do it,
and how you're supposed to
how you're supposed to die.
Yeah.
And things aren't dying, and that's fucking everything up. He is one of the possible, like, his path is a possible solution to the things aren't dying like they should be problem.
Gotcha.
It's not a good solution.
But it's a solution.
It is a solution, though. Because originally, right?
Yeah.
What, I guess, a real proper funeral for, like, heroes and such is people would go, they would get turned into ashes, and then put where, like, Erd trees would.
That way they grow from that, yeah. Because it's basically the circle of life type of stuff.
They skipped a step for him. They didn't burn the body.
Oh, so they just...
Now, yeah. So when people don't burn the body like they're supposed to, it's what causes, like, skeletons and shit to pop up.
Gotcha.
And he is both... His soul is dead, but the body is alive. Which is bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was also like, well, I didn't fight him. I fought, like, his best dragon buddy, who, like, he fought, long story short, war with Leyndell and dragons.
Mm-hmm.
He beat, like, their best guy and was like, hey, man, now that the fighting's done, can we be friends? And that worked out pretty well.
Well, that's good.
And then he got assassinated by his stepsister.
Oh, so not so good.
All that happened later.
Yeah. So,
Because their
yeah.
mom was tired of being like a Cthulhu pawn.
Yeah.
I realize this makes me sound like a madman trying to explain it.
I mean, that's just the premise of the game.
But the point is, I really want the DLCs to come out so I can keep fighting things.
Yeah. I mean, they'll be soon because we know they're coming.
Yeah.
So let's there's, like I said earlier, there's no real news this week in Star Wars, so let's kind of just get into today's topic of Star Wars: The High Republic Adventures 2022 Volume 1, and we'll go ahead and give our spoiler warning now.
Spoiler warnings.
You
have been warned.
I believe it covers the first 4 issues.
Yeah.
Because it was only an 8-issue run, so this covers the first 4 issues. And so, if you have not read it and you want to read it,
go read it.
Go read it, and then you can come back and watch our video.
Because we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. We're not going to go point by point, but we'll get the highlights. So, what do you want to talk about first?
I think I like Sav more as a child.
Is it just because of the spunkiness?
Yeah.
It's that I want to be a pirate spunkiness. It's very... I haven't watched One Piece, but I feel like it fits very One Piece. Am I off base?
Yeah, no.
I like the way that... So the premise, let's kind of give a very summarized premise. So this is part of the Phase 2 content, so this is 200 years before the events of Phase 1. So of course we get younger Sav Malagan as our main protagonist, who is on Takodana, where Maz Kanata's castle is, and as we know, Maz Kanata is very long-lived, and therefore is involved with this story, and she's basically the pirate queen at this point. Yeah. She's still operating as a pirate at this point. She hasn't like retired as we kind of see her in The Force Awakens. And we also get the fun appearance of Dexter Jettster with an even bushier mustache, and as a pirate, because Dexter Jettster is a man of many different talents and careers,
many vocations.
He's a miner, he's a pirate, he's a restaurateur.
He's done a lot.
And we get to meet like basically the crew of Maz Kanata's group, and we also are dealing with the path and the events of like as we're approaching the Battle of Jeddah, because like it's the pre-Battle of Jeddah but post-Dalna stuff, like not Battle of Dawn, not the Night of Sorrows, but the post Path of Deceit events, because it like I said, it's gonna lead into, because Volume 2 is like Battle of Jeddah stuff. And so we kind of just see Sav Malagan's life and how she goes undercover as a pirate, because she kind of she's trying to decide if the life of a Jedi is what she really wants. Which does seem to be a theme in a lot of High Republic characters.
Do I really want to be a Jedi?
But I love... So that's basically like the very, very baseline summary of like what the comic's about. That's like very baseline. That's like no details whatsoever, really. I like the interactions of the pirates and like the pirate hunters and how like the politics of it, because it's very much we act pretty publicly as pirates, but also we know that the law will come and try to get us, but sometimes the law is our friend. It really just depends on the day, and sometimes we'll make a deal with the law.
I was thinking about Maz Kanata's crew, and I was like, oh, I know what you are. You're the pirates who don't do anything.
Except they do.
They do, but I mean, like, in terms of other pirate crews we've seen,
Yeah, like
I'm
they're
like, you guys are so much, like, on the lower end of, like, severity for
yeah, like
galactic
they're not like they're
problems.
not hurting anybody.
Yeah,
Like maybe they are stealing from certain ships, but they're not doing it at a rate
yeah.
that
Where it's like, oh god,
like they're not the Nihil.
yeah,
They're very much like, oh, we'll steal some shit and have like we'll do like drug deals, but that's really about
that's
it.
about it.
And like specifically with like Alec and his whole thing with oh, what was the name of the I'm looking at him right now, but I forget his name. The pirate hunter that's after him.
Uh,
God, that's so small. Sorry, we're looking at the comic in front of us, and I'm trying to pull up his name.
hold on.
I think it's Raph. Was it up there? Inspector Raph. Yeah, I was right. So yeah, Inspector, like their dynamic in
Yeah.
particular is very interesting. And then you've got the other one who has he's basically on parole
Yeah,
and has his parole inspector with him at all
the whole
times
time.
while still doing illegal shit.
Yeah,
And his inspector's like, I can't stop you, but I'm gonna like make notes of what you're doing. And it's just like, aren't you there to stop him?
and it's like, nope. They basically are like, yeah, by the time he usually finishes up explaining what's wrong, we've already committed another crime, so he has to keep writing down notes.
Yeah.
Also, the most like, just go into the woods and bam, cult.
Yeah, because so part of the main premise of dealing with the path is they're not dealing with the path directly.
Yeah,
They're dealing with people that the path have hired.
because the path, being the path, has hired people to cause problems
Yeah.
and make people look bad.
Because Mother is smart enough to buy other groups to do their work
Yeah.
for them. So that way it's not always the path directly doing something. And in this case, it's buying this cult / pirate crew who are like a force cult. And their thing is they basically don't like the Jedi and they don't like, that's really
Yeah.
about it. Like, they don't really have an actual fundamental belief that I could understand.
It's I made a pirate crew out of force users.
Yeah. And so they deal with that. And yeah, Sav, Dex, and Raph run into them in the middle of the woods on Takodana.
Yeah.
And then this is the start of Sav pretending to not be a Jedi, has to like deal with them a little bit and help everybody like escape.
Yeah.
And so a whole fight happens.
What interested me, like, looking back at it, it's like, my murder bots will take care of them, and the group, before they, like, even have been properly seen, are like, so anyway, we started blasting.
Yeah, like Raph and Dex are immediately at it. Sav pulls out her lightsabers because she's not hiding it from everybody yet. Dex and Raph are really the only ones that know.
Yeah.
Throughout most of the comic, Maz knows but doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Because it's Maz. Maz is smart and also force sensitive as well, as implied in The Force Awakens. And so
Like, yeah, I fucking knew. What did you think you were, subtle kid?
yeah, and so they deal with the murder bots. The Dank Grax, that's the name of the pirate crew, the rival crew, led by Eric Vaughn. And so they end up having to investigate that. And so I like the Dank Grax as kind of as a villain premise. I kind of like a pirate. It's very interesting seeing force sensitive doing other things.
Yeah.
So like instead of being a Sith or a Jedi or even just a regular cult, we'd have a pirate crew of force sensitives, which is very interesting as a premise. And so at this point, Sav goes undercover, full pirate.
Yep.
Joins Maz's crew, and their whole thing is now, okay, we got to deal with the Dank Grax because they're up to something, and I forget what they specifically stole, but they like they have something that like they're trying to mess up Maz's
Yeah.
operations. I think they want. I think they're, if I remember correctly, their just ultimate goal is to take over Takodana.
Yeah.
Like that's their ultimate goal.
They want the Jedi and Maz off of Takodana.
Like that's it. That's really it. Because they're like, oh, Takodana, great pirate world. We want it. um, Sav is doing this operation without Jedi oversight because her master was like, hey, don't do this. And Sav was like, nah, I'm gonna do it. And so we kind of meet the different members of the Denkrax. So we got Eric Vaughn, like I said, that's the leader of it. He's kind of this gruff, I don't care about my crew sort of captain. Yeah. And then you've got Orn, who's kind of this creepy like second in command. Yeah. He's kind of just there.
Like he never does anything, but he's always there.
Sayakim, who is the kind of the newest member.
Yeah.
And so like she's kind of the point of view character for the crew, and she just kind of wants to see the world burn in a way. Like she's all about, hey, let's do the destruction. It sounds fun. And then we got Lava Lock's Verzon, who is the wild card.
Yeah.
Got
that guy's just crazy.
Yeah, just crazy. Got paint all over their face and clown makeup looking.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of your crew. That's the crew of the Denkrax. And
yeah. I was thinking this about like Ulren like later on. I was like, this Voldemort looking motherfucker.
He's immune, okay? Mutants can't help how they look.
I know, but I was also like he'll show up throughout different scenes. He won't say anything.
He'll just be there.
In one panel he'll be gone, and on another one he'll show up, and I'm like, the fuck are you?
Yeah. So for the most part, most of these issues are the space battle above Takodana, and then like the initial dealing with the Denkrax and the Denks using very illegal, very frowned upon types of warfare, using chemicals and stuff, which kind of hints towards the Nihil later and what they do.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of that. Is there anything in particular that stood out to you throughout the
very amusing moment is just Sav trying to basically fake the connection going out with her master.
Oh yeah.
You know, like the other members of the crew see how like she's really bad at lying. So they just start stomping on the holoprojector. In the really awkward situation about how they make sure Inspector Raff doesn't really learn anything. They're like,
yeah, because they can't let him know like they want him to know information.
Yeah.
But they also can't directly give him that information because of
the solution is anytime
is it Inspector Rado that you're thinking of, or
nah, that one right there.
Oh, Alec.
Alec has one of his like phone calls with Inspector Raff. They have to sit in on it, and they're like, yeah, it's kind of awkward sometimes, but this is the best we've got.
Yeah, because Alec has a similar situation with Rado and Claws. I forget his name. But they kind of have a similar situation, except Alec isn't on parole. Raph is just kind of his like specific inspector that's been hired to keep track of him.
Oh no, that's not it at all.
Well, there's also
look, they're banging.
Yeah, there's the romantic interest as well.
Yeah, which is like, oh man.
No, and that's not even it's straight up.
It's straight up stated. That's not what I mean. I'm like, man, this is gonna be real awkward because now your whole crew has to listen in on the conversations you're having with your significant other.
But they also
I understand why.
They also can't be together though, at least openly because of their career paths.
Yeah.
And so yeah. And then of course I like the sequence with the pet
Yeah,
That's
it's
on,
just like walking around and being like, "Hey."
and we get a so. I think the most funny thing is the ship swap.
Yeah, just steal each other's ships.
It's very pirate. It's
God damn it.
and honestly, I could see it happening in like in any other pirate media and being like,
Motherfucker.
and it being really comedic and it works. I think it works, and of course, unfortunately, it also creates a situation where Maz, where things don't go well for
They
Maz.
got her.
Yeah, they capture her,
Who put this curtain here?
and so, and we get a lot of
Get some backstory.
yeah, because we only have 8 issues total,
Yeah.
and this is only 4, so we're already halfway through, and so they really have to give us the characters and make us care about them quickly enough, especially since this is an ensemble comic.
Yeah.
And so they have to be like, here's the characters, here's what you need to know. But I think they do it well. They and you know that's just how it works out.
Oh. Way back in Midnight Horizons, a cult was mentioned made up of child assassins.
Oh yeah, and this is brought back.
And this is brought back. Also, the fact that Sav hung out with Maz Kanata, we're seeing that now as well.
Yeah, because that was brought up. Yeah, because I mean they're best friends by the time of
Yeah.
Phase 1, and so this is the showing us how that happened. And so yeah, the Scarlet Skulls. Yeah.
Yep.
Is the cult, the murder cult.
Yeah, they're also not around anymore.
Yeah, somebody killed a bunch of them because
Yes.
he didn't like that they stole a child, and he was like, "I will protect this child, and then I will murder everybody that that." We're talking about Alec.
Yeah,
We're talking about Alec.
Fucking murdered.
Yeah, because Quiet Shan,
Yeah.
which
What's up?
I feel like these are nice of the Old Republic references, because
Might be, might not be.
Alec is Malik's original name.
Okay.
And then Quiet Shan, as in Bastila Shan, as in Satil Shan, as in that Shan family.
Maybe.
But
Maybe
I
not.
think I don't think it's.
I think they're just
I think they're.
reusing names.
Yeah,
for
I think it's
simplicity.
reusing names, and I think it's they know the connections of those names, but they're not meant to like. I don't think they're meant to be related. I think
Yeah.
I think it's more of, hey, this is a fun little nod to those names, but because even Alec kind of looks like
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he?
like he looks like post hair Malik when he loses after he's lost his hair, but before he loses his jaw.
He got to keep his jaw this time. Shame about the rest of
Yeah, he lost his legs, so he gets spider legs. He gets the mall spider legs. But it's I like the art design though of those characters. I like White
Yeah.
Chan's design, the cyborg with the robotic eye, and I like most of the pirate designs.
Yeah, like they look how you imagine a pirate crew would look.
Yeah, like say Akin is also well designed.
Yeah.
Like the Zabrak with like the half cut, like the punk
Yeah.
half shave. And so they managed to they managed to track down the pirates to a planet, to a shipyard.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, things don't go well because Maz manages to get on, but nobody else does.
Yeah.
And like a fight breaks out as the Dank Racks are trying to escape, because they kind of catch on that Sav is
Something's wrong.
yeah, they catch on that they're being bullshitted, and so they manage to make their escape. Thankfully though, Sav is also going undercover at this point as one of the pirates.
That's 2 covers now.
Yeah, so a cover for the cover.
Yep.
And in this case is like, oh, I'm a representative for this force cult, and I'm here to join up with you guys. And so they take as Basrip Ratoth, or however you want to pronounce that, Ratht, Ratoth. But Bosrip. So Bosrip is the name that Sav is going by, and it works kind of.
Everyone's like, I know you're lying,
but we can't prove it.
Yeah.
So also because Sav is very gender neutral,
yeah,
it works in Sav's favor that they can say that they're a guy because nobody really catches on immediately. Oh yeah, Maz is bothering Orm and getting busted. Yeah, that so like that's basically where the first few issues, first volume kind of ends. We get one more issue of like
her
trying
passing
the
like initiation trials.
Yeah, because they're like, prove that you're force sensitive, prove that you're not a Jedi, and like, because like you've got a lightsaber. What's up with that?
Yeah. Oh, I
killed a Jedi.
I killed a Jedi and took it from them.
Which is like the bit like. It's the quick lie that every Jedi makes when they're confronted with how did I get a lightsaber?
I killed a Jedi. I love how later on, I think it's Sav points at Sav and it was like, I know your secret. You're not really a boy,
you're
are
a
you?
girl.
And I'm like, Sav, you're lucky this one is so dumb.
I do kind of like the start of the friendship that's formed between them.
This is either gonna go really well or very poorly.
We also get a Terra Sanube cameo, which is great because we learn that Terra Sanube is kind of in charge of the younglings at this point. He's the kindergarten teacher.
Oh, God, they always get it bad in Star Wars.
Terra Sanube end up then again the Obi-Wan Kenobi shows what happens to him.
Yeah, they always get it bad.
He makes it at least to that point. He's lived probably the longest of a lot of the kindergarten teachers that we can talk about in Star Wars. I mean, because he lives from he's already old by the time of the High Republic.
Yeah.
And then we see he's even older by the time of Clone Wars with the Lost Lightsaber arc episode with Ahsoka, where he's using his cane. Although he's still active enough that he can do a lightsaber fight.
Yep.
With his lightsaber cane.
More people should employ the lightsaber cane tactic.
I'm surprised Yoda never did, because he had a cane.
Yeah.
Like although his cane also had his drugs,
so maybe that's why.
Because
he didn't want to accidentally ignite his stash.
He's like, I gotta chew on my drugs. I don't want to. Because that's canon. That's canon. That he would chew on his stick because it made him high.
Spaced out of his mind.
Oh. But yeah, so I like seeing like these these characters that like are kind of tertiary and for even less important in Star Wars, kind of getting cameos and becoming more important in other eras, especially the long-lived Jedis who were like, oh, we know they were around, but we don't know what they were up to, and the High Republic's like, here you go.
They're doing stuff. They were teaching kindergarten.
They're like, here's a little treat. Here's a little treat. And so once again, Sav proves force sensitivity, all that stuff. Yep. And so, yeah, like you said, we have the "you're a girl" moment, and I think Orm almost figures out because he's kind of hanging back, listening in on a lot of stuff. He's once again, he's that character who's around most of the time, but you don't know it, and he's just there, which makes him a great spy and an awful, fearful character. On top of just how he looks. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, like he's very have you ever seen like the Addams Family? He's like Lurch. He's Lurch. he's the lurch of this pirate crew. He's just
Yeah.
there, and he makes noises, and everybody kind of understands him, but they also know not to like mess with him.
It's like, I'm not gonna say anything.
And so, and yeah, we
Yeah.
end with the pirate crew realizing, with Maz's crew heading towards Jeddah and arriving at Jeddah actually, in time for the battle to start.
Yeah.
Because they were. That's the thing. They found out that the Dankraks were on their way to Jeddah to help start the battle.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, by the time that Maz's crew shows up to deal with
It's
that,
already started.
it's already started. The Dankraks have not showed up yet, though.
Yeah, no, they haven't.
Because by then we already know what happened. The riot started because the Herald and his shenanigans.
Yeah.
And so that's where Volume 1 ends, with the Battle of Jeddah beginning, and everybody's kind of separated because
Things are bad.
yeah, the pirates are like, hey, we gotta help Jeddah, and then the Dankraks are like, we gotta head to Jeddah and cause trouble.
Yep.
And also we have a prisoner, Maz Kanata, and hopefully after we do what we need to do at Jeddah, we can then take Takodana.
Yep.
Because now she can't stop us because we've got her.
Yep, we put her in a box.
And so I like the High Republic adventure stuff. I like all the High Republic stuff. I mean, and I think it sounds like you have more of an appreciation for Sav now.
Yeah.
At it, which I think, once again, that just shows how good these comics are. Because if you can come in going, I don't care about this character, and then come out going, you know what, I kind of like this character now. That's good writing.
Like,
I think it's because also in her appearances previously, she is not a focal.
yeah.
She's there as like a mentor, but she's like background still.
Yeah.
And so,
With her in the spotlight, it's a lot different. And
and
also, we get to see her internal thoughts this time.
yeah, and we're also seeing how she becomes the Jedi that we, because like in Phase 1, she's very much still the same character. I'd say she is the character that we see. Like there's not a lot of change to her character. She's very much still, I'm a Jedi, but I'm willing to break the rules if it means doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where she's at in this comic still, although she's trying to figure out if she wants to stick with the Jedi. And I think her journey reveals, yes, I can do a lot of good with the Jedi. I just have to be willing to break the rules sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's something that we see even as her in her adult position in Phase 1. And I need to start Phase 3 because Phase 3 is starting to come out. Like, the first few comics have started to come out, so I need to see where we're going on that journey even further, because now we're back with, I think they said it was a year or two gap between Phase 1 and 2. I mean 1 and 3. Like I think they did a time jump. I forget how big. I think it's a year. So
all right.
But yeah, I give it a solid 8. I mean, I think it could be higher if once you get the full comic, because this is just half of that series.
Yeah, I'll score it about the same for now.
And I think it helps that while Phase 2 is shorter, and I kind of wish that it ran a little bit longer. Like, I wish they did one more wave of books. I'm not disappointed in what we got. So like it's one of those things of, oh, I wish they did this, but also we can't judge it on what we wish. We have to judge it on what we got.
Yep.
And what we got is a good product at the end of the day. And I think it works out in the case of High Republic Adventures because they're able to tell. It's not quite a mini series, but it's basically a mini series because it's just like 8 issues and then done. And it manages to tell a solid story within those 8 issues, as you'll come about to. And it's a focused story. There's not.
Yeah.
Whereas I think, while I liked High Republic Adventures Phase 1, I think Phase 1 was a little more scattered on the story. Like, they had to get a lot of elements in because they had to do a lot of introduction to the High Republic world for people who own, like, because everything in High Republic Phase 1 had to be treated as, this is the first time you're reading the High Republic. Because for most people, it would have been. So everything had to be treated as that. and you had to be able to read each thing separately and still feel like you were getting a complete story. And I think Phase 1, High Republic Adventures, it kind of told a more split story because it also had to connect to the books and other stuff that was coming out. Whereas I think with this one, because it came out so late in Phase 2, it was able to be like, okay, we're going to condense this to just being about the Battle of Jeddah, because at this point we've already covered the Battle of Jeddah, so people know what's going on, so we can just make it about that.
Like, the Battle of Jeddah, pretty bad. The Night of Sorrows, probably worse.
Yeah. I mean, it created a friction between Dawnins and Jedi for generations.
200 years. So.
Yeah. So.
Objectively speaking.
Yeah. Whereas Jeddah, there's a slight more distrust in Jeddah.
Yeah.
But I think we see by the end of Phase 2 that they kind of improve relations almost immediately. They're like it's not fixed.
Yeah.
But it's definitely repairable. Whereas the Dawnins and Jedi, it doesn't get repaired until Phase 1, and then by then Dalna gets.
There's no Dalna now.
Yeah. So
there's no more ice skaters.
At least on Dalna. Maybe they're at the zoos.
At the zoos, maybe, but not on Dalna. Come to think of it, I don't think there's going to be much of anything on Dalna for a while.
Yeah. But, so that was High Republic Adventures 2022 Volume 1. Thank you all for watching today's episode of Escape Reality Star Wars Talk. I've been your host, Caleb. Be sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe to us. You can find us at Escape Reality Films on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and TikTok. You can also show your support for us by joining our Patreon, which is at Escape Reality Films. Shout out to Jennifer Brantley.
Yo!
There you can watch our YouTube content a week before it's publicly available, although currently I've got stuff all the way to pretty much December at this point. We're that far ahead.
He's stocked up.
And I'm gonna have more that I'm gonna film today after we get done here and I get some other stuff done, grab some lunch. Like I said, I'm going to try to get back to Baldur's Gate 3 live stream soon, so that way we can finish Baldur's Gate 3 and then go back to our normal YouTube programming. Because I know people are kind of hoping to kind of go back, that's just part of the schedule. So, people are like, hey, what's happening to this? You can also watch the Acquisitions Incorporated D&D game that I've been running that we talked about earlier on the Patreon. For the first 3 sessions are up there. Like I said, session 4, we're going to be playing that tomorrow. So if you are in our Discord, which is linked down below, depending where you're watching, it's linked nearby. If you join that community, you'll be able to listen in tomorrow. I'll do a at everyone alert, so that way you know that we're going live with that, and we'll be recording that. All we ask is that you mute yourself and just listen in, so that way the players can do their thing. What else? I think that's
Should we tell them about
and you can the Patreon stuff, all that is just for $10 a month. There's a lower tier, but you don't get as many of the benefits. You just get the shout out, really. But if you do the $10 a month, you get all of that. And then there's higher tiers for higher rewards. You can also find me on Twitter at EscapeReality94, and Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at caleb.lockwood. And speaking of D&D, though,
I was going to ask, should we tell them about the other thing we're doing, or leave us be quiet about it for now?
We can talk about, well, let's keep it quiet for now because we don't know for sure on the day.
Yeah. All right.
But I will say we are working on another D&D. We're working on another D&D game. We're also trying to get some lost media that I lost kind of redone in a way that will be entertaining. Yeah.
In other
D&D,
not news,
other
but
D&D
correlated
announcements.
You can catch me and some friends of mine over on at the Steam Dungeon every Sunday from 5 to 7 Central Standard Time at Trials of Nebu. We had a really good game last week where we did a revenge hit.
Yeah, because y'all...
we were so close to getting her.
Because y'all were working on the revenge hit as well as some of the arena stuff.
Yeah.
last time we talked.
So arena stuff. Nobody, Nick's character, passed through.
Okay,
So me
but
and Nick,
lived.
yeah,
Okay.
we both completed the objective. So we're in the next round of the arena matches. Apparently that round was like a real killer with Keontae because he went and did a bunch of stuff behind the scenes, and it went from 32 competitors down to 9. Meanwhile, Mana, Kiari's character, and Dobad, Steven's character, they're off going on an assault on a gang hideout that's been harassing the party. Meanwhile, Simon and Adarpi, Simon my character and Adarpi Lex's character, decided, what if we jump this lady we were paid to kill while she's drunk, alone, and having an emotional breakdown at the docks? We were so close. 2 more attacks, she'd have been dead. We did manage to cut off her arm, though.
Well, there you go.
Like, we did not give her a chance. And now I want to see what the effects of that have been, because holy shit, going and attacking a major like
yeah, that's gonna create
faction
some
leader is one of those things where
world politics are
Yeah.
gonna change. Yeah.
I think for me, because one of the things that tends to happen in games with a lot of players is a lot of discussion will happen, but not a lot of actual courses of action. And I think me and Lex just kind of got fed up and we're like, fuck it, let's just go get her right now.
Yeah.
This was just supposed to be a reconnaissance job, and we were like, as a matter of fact, we're going to kill you.
And that's a D&D thing in general.
Yeah.
Like, players will get frustrated. Like, some players like to sit around and plan for a bit, but other players, if they do that for too long, get antsy and then make decisions that yeah.
I'm like, I would have preferred us to have more people when we did this, but we had 2, so we used 2.
Yeah. But so yeah, once again, check that out on.
Unfortunately,
Oh.
the audio for that episode doesn't exist.
Oh no.
Because I think we put it on the wrong track.
Oh, okay. So this is a similar situation to the other game that I have.
Yeah.
Except in my case, it's more of the great drop of the hard drive.
The great hard drive drop.
But
it was fun. Hopefully we'll have it done better this Sunday.
Yeah, so Steam_Dungeon on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Trials
5 to 7 Central Standard Time. Trials of Nebu.
Yep. So go check that out. And once again, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next week with the High Republic Adventures. No. What's next week? Sorry. I forgot to change that part of the script. Next week is the High Republic Tales of Light and Life, which I have over there. So we'll see you all next week for that. And I have spoken.
Yo, have